this short tutorial I'm gonna be showcasing the cool app I made called TMARR. Closed captions never gonna catch that, but yeah, look at the icon. This looks pretty sick. Well, the app is specifically designed for GSI ROMs or any other ROM like stock one or whatever, where you don't necessarily have controls for smart refresh rate. So like when you do scroll on the screen, it jumps up to 120, but when you don't, it goes down to 60, which is, you might admit, is pretty respectable thing to have on your modern day smartphone. I've been using GSI ROMs for quite a long time, like maybe 6 or 7 years. And I've been pretty happy with it, like Hassan did a great job, all the community stepped in and created elaborate ecosystem. So how the app works is pretty simple. It keeps running a foreground service and it just switches between max mode you select to a mean one. So for example, how I use it, I have, when I touch the screen, it sets to 120 Hz and after 3 seconds it jumps down to 60. It is very lightweight and, might I say, greatly optimized. So without further ado, let's cover all of the features. First thing you're gonna see is a simple scrolling graphic that looks like UFO test, at least that's what I've been trying to mimic. You can enable or disable refresh rate overlay, which you can do from developer settings, but it saves a couple of clicks and about 20 seconds of scrolling, which is annoying. Next you can choose a refresh rate, of which your devices select. My device only has 3 modes. Some devices have like maybe 6 or 7 or maybe up to 10. I do have a compatibility table on my website where you can check if your device supports it or not. And some of the devices go to as low as 30 or even 10 in cases of Samsung, like as you could see here. Next are the controls I've already shown you. So you select the maximum mode you want to have when you scroll, you select the timeout, and you select the minimum mode. You can enable start at boot, and that's pretty much it for basic functionality. So for example, I could select a game to always be at 120, or something like a books reading app set to minimum. When you do have a game on, you could just open notification panel, and from there you could lock maximum mode or lock minimum. And for example, in this case, game will stay locked for 120 FPS. So it wouldn't bother you when you start playing, you click a button and then when you release, it just resets to minimum. So let's see how this works in action. For example, I'll open YouTube and while I scroll, it will always be 120 FPS. But when I open a video, it will drop down to 60. Here you can see that while I scroll, it stays at 120, but when I release it, it drops down to 60. So for example, you could lower the timeout to see the effect better, and you could see that while I scroll it stays at 120, no matter what I do, and when I release it, it drops down to 60, but when I again scroll, it just jumps back to 120 and drops to 160. For me personally, I think best timeout is about 3 seconds. It won't interrupt you on long scrolls. So for example, if I do open developer settings and scroll all the way to the bottom, it would stay at 120 until it stops. You could set it to lower, you could set it to higher, so it wouldn't interrupt while you do scroll your device, but it would drop down when you watch a YouTube video or have maps on navigation, or maybe you just left your device and you don't want it to burn battery wastefully without any reason to it. So let me demo it one more time. While I'll scroll, it always keeps at 120, but once I release, it drops down to 60. And you know what the best thing is? Nobody is limiting you. You could set 120 at max and idle at 90. So, for example, it would be at 120 and then drop to 90. Or either way, you could select 90 and 60. Maybe you don't want 120 and it will stay locked to 90 and drop to 60 once you release it. Or you could do crazy things like fuck around and find out, my friend. Set idle rate to 120 and touch to 60. I don't know why the fuck you would do it, but nobody is limiting you. This is completely stupid. This is completely useless, but It's an option. That's what is great about having rooted device. You could just do stuff nobody else in the right mind would ever do. And yeah, by the way, the app works only on rooted phones. So it won't work with Shizuku, it won't work on its own. It requires root to work. But if you do install GSI ROM, I'm pretty sure root is a must. You can just be unrooted.